Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go ahead and get this meeting started. If everybody could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there any changes to the agenda?
I have none.
We have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second that. We have a roll call, please.
Councilman Vosberg,
Aye.
Mayor Horn,
Aye.
Councilman Hedgecock,
Aye.
Councilman Schindler,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ramirez.
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on to our next item, awards, presentations, appointments, and proclamations. In honor of Jenabelle Miranda Lorenzo for Senate District 13 Trailblazer Award, Councilman Vosberg.
If I could get Jenabelle to come up. This is a certificate of recognition awarded to Jenabelle Lorenzo. The city of Coalinga is proud to present this certificate to Jenabelle Lorenzo in special recognition of her hard work and achievements and volunteer services within the community and Fresno County that have led her to being chosen as the 2024 Woman of the Year for Fresno County Senate District 14. You want to say anything? You want to say anything? All right, okay, okay, she's speechless. I'm going to say something then. Thank you so much. I'm going to get on the mic real quick and say something. All right, she's speechless, so I'm just going to explain that Jenabelle and her crew of folks, when they came to Coalinga, have made a huge difference with their businesses, with their participation in the community, the volunteering through multiple businesses that she and her foundation and group of people have brought forward. And I've actually been to Jenabelle's house to get some of the plants and stuff that she has, and it's amazing. And I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of our heart. And I know that I think it's Caballero. I know that she would have wanted to be here, but I don't think she could. So I'm going to extend her gratitude as well. Thank you so much. Everyone give a round of applause.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Vosberg, and congratulations. Okay, our next item, some citizens' comments. This section of the agenda allows members of the public to address the city council on any item within the jurisdiction of the council. Members of the public, when recognized by the mayor, should come forward to the lectern, identify themselves, and use the microphone. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes in accordance with state open meeting laws. No action will be taken by the city council this evening, and all items will be referred to staff for a follow-up and a report. Citizens' comments submitted in writing by the city clerk by 5 p.m. on the day of the city council meeting shall be distributed to the city council and included in the record. However, they will not be read. We have anybody that would like to come up and speak?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, council. Good evening, citizens. My name is Tina Yaden. I am here representing Colinga's Gold Star Wellness Center, nonprofit community wellness center. And I just wanted to let you know some of the things that are happening in the next couple of weeks. I don't know if anyone knows, not everyone knows this, but Able Produce is a fresh produce delivery service that services Colinga every other Thursday. They've been doing this for almost 3 years now. They first started delivering to Salty Pickle, and then they asked me to take it over. That was through Yaden's Gold Star Wellness. They still deliver every Thursday for free to the community, and they offer a $20 value box of fresh produce. And you can also customize your produce box. And I wanted to just keep sharing that because today we had 10 out of the entire city. We had 10 orders, which we're happy for, but we would like more people to use services for local produce. So if you have any questions, let me know. This Friday, tomorrow, at the Wellness Center, we have a self-love book club. It is virtual. It is a self-love women's workbook book club going on. At 6 p.m., we have a Paint Your Partner workshop. So come with a partner, and you actually will paint each other with Sarah Lovelace. Sunday, we are working with Mindful Massage and Spa for a Sunday self-care. The center is doing a sound bath at noon using crystal sound bowls to align chakras and to reduce stress. And then over at the spa for chair massage and the ionic foot detox. Chair yoga for Silver Sneakers is still happening on Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 a.m. And flow yoga is happening at 6 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Silver Sneakers, we are a Silver Sneakers provider. So if you are on Medicare Advantage, you should be eligible for that, and it's paid for. And then April 27th and 28th, we are having our monthly rummage sale. We're always looking for volunteers to help, donate, and of course, purchase. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Scott?
Feel like I need to reintroduce myself. I haven't been here in like 3 or 4 meetings. Scott Netherton, Colinga Chamber of Commerce. Just want to give you an update. This Saturday, we do have our first annual Suds and Sons celebration at Frame Park. The wine festival did so well that so many people had asked us to do like a beer festival type event. So this will be our first time trying it out. We have 9 breweries represented, over 21 different beers, live entertainment. We have a live podcast going to be taking place. So if you're in town, it's from 1 to 5 p.m. at Frame Park. So if you're available, please come out. And Derby is in swing. We're 5 weeks away. Probably seen the Royalty Court out there selling wristband vouchers already. They have complete sales all to themselves until May 1st, and then it'll be opened up to Save Mart and other local businesses that want to sell. We're pretty full. We're already completely sold out on all of our vendor spots almost, so we're expecting a really good turnout this year. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to come up and speak? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to our next item, public hearings. We have one item tonight. Consideration of adoption of resolution number 4203, consideration of a zoning ordinance amendment and finding a categorical exemption under the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, for electric vehicle parking standards in accordance with Assembly Bill 1236 and Assembly Bill 970. Sean.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. On October 8th, the state of California adopted AB 1236, which requires local agencies to adopt an ordinance that creates an expedited and streamlined permitting process for electric vehicle charging systems. The state of California also adopted Assembly Bill 970, which requires local agencies, including charter cities, to deem an application complete and approve within a certain time frame if all requirements are met. And so Assembly Bill 1236 amended Government Code 65850 to require jurisdictions with a population of less than 200,000 residents to establish procedures for expedited, streamlined processes for permitting electric vehicle charging stations. And then additionally, AB 970 requires the local agencies, including the charter cities, to deem the application complete in a required time frame. This was taken to the Planning Commission on April 9th, where the Planning Commission subsequently adopted Resolution 024P-003, recommending approval of Ordinance 866 by the Council. This subsequently had been provided to Council as a preliminary item prior to going to Council. So what you saw at the initial meeting last time we discussed this was basically the same language that was approved and recommended by the Planning Commission. So you'll see that the Ordinance 866 really hasn't changed since it was presented to the Council preliminarily before the text amendment went before the Planning Commission. So with that, the copy of the ordinance is within the staff report or within as an attachment. So if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. If not, this is a public hearing, and we would just introduce and waive the first reading.
Okay, at this time, we'll go ahead and open it up to the public, if anybody has any questions. Council?
Yeah, I think I said this last time, but this is taking away local control, and I'm not in favor of anything that does that. I appreciate all the work that city staff and Sean did to basically do whatever the state is forcing us to do, because that's what this is. This is the state of California. There's going to be a slew of these things come away where they're going to take away our local control, where they're going to force us to place things where we don't want to. They're going to force us to apply zoning where it shouldn't, where we don't agree with. They've already done this with ADUs, JDUs, things like that nature. So this is just another one of those things, and I'd like to say that I don't support the state doing this. So I'd like to state that publicly, but as I see, we really don't have a choice in this matter.
Council? Any more questions? Okay, we'll go ahead and close this hearing. What would council like to do? We want a motion to vote on this tonight?
Yeah,
Or is this just a discussion?
No, you'd be adopting the Resolution 4203 and the ordinance.
I motion to approve, unfortunately, in duress.
Same, I'll second. We have roll call, please.
Councilman Vosberg,
Aye.
Mayor Horn,
Aye.
Councilman Hedgecock,
Aye.
Councilman Schindler,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ramirez.
I would aye.
Okay, we'll move on to our next item, consent calendar. We have 10 items tonight. Is there anything that any of the council members would like to pull?
I'd like to pull item 5.3 and 5.6, please.
And I'd like to pull 5.5.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the first one, 5.3, Councilman Schindler. By the way, this one's informational only for adding a non-sworn Coalinga Police Department Community Service Officer.
Yeah, I'm just, would like to pull this item to get a brief explanation from Marissa.
Sure. So this item was requested as a future agenda item by Councilman Schindler to have the city look into a non-sworn community services officer for the police department. Right now, we have opportunities where community members can volunteer as a community services officer, either through the Citizens on Patrol program or as a city ambassador. However, if we wanted to add a full-time position, it's about $113,480.50 per year from the general fund. And if we added one that was 19 hours a week, it would be $48,651 from the city's general fund. So there are opportunities for individuals in the community who'd like to volunteer. Otherwise, those would be the costs to add either a full or a part-time position.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is 5.5, Councilman Vosberg.
Yeah, I just wanted to get so I think this is great about doing the informational campaign for the animals and whatnot. What do you think $1,000 is going to get us? Because I don't think that's going to go very far, and it says that that's the budgeted amount. So I know we have a real issue with animals in Coalinga, and I just want to make sure that we don't get stuck with the $1,000 mark. I know that we need some kind of budgeted item, but I just think that's a little small, that's all.
Yeah, so we can certainly increase that item if you'd like, or we can start with that, and then you can just direct us to come back for additional funding if needed. Some of the things that we can do aren't going to be a cost, you know, hosting workshops and posting stuff on social media. Printed material obviously will have a cost, but I don't see it exceeding $1,000. I know that Dawn was trying to help with this and really spearhead it, and she's working with someone to develop something that she has an idea on, and we don't really know what that cost is going to be yet. But this is something that if you want to say go ahead and move forward with $1,000 budget and then come back to us if you need more, that may be a good approach.
That'd be great.
So is that the once we get to this item, that's going to be the motion is to approve the 1,000 and leave it open for future funds? Okay.
Correct.
Okay, our next item is 5.6, Councilman Schindler.
Yeah, I just pulled this item because last week I kind of mixed up a couple of items together, and I wanted to clarify. This is about the creek and the homeless in the creek and displaced families living in the creek and all of that. And what I'd like to do is look at what's currently being done and then look at what kind of county, state, and federal resources that are out there that we should be getting. I've heard that in the past, the county has responded to us and said that we'll just bus them to Fresno. And that's not working, obviously, because a lot of these people don't want to go to Fresno because they have the huge homeless problem there already. So I just want to look at things like that. I know that I've heard that Tulare has a program where they do a homeless camp. Things like that is what I was hoping for here. So.
That was my understanding of what you'd like. So if you guys approve this item, then we're going to start working on it. I already have one item that's tentatively on the agenda for May 2nd, assuming that you guys approve this item tonight, to see if you're interested in applying for a grant similar to what the city of Tulare did. And we'll have our grant representative on via Zoom to explain what that grant would entail if we want to move forward with that. And then I have a meeting with Fresno County where they're actually coming out here on the 30th of this month to talk about their homeless services.
Yes, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, we've got the three items taken care of. We have a motion to approve consent calendar with modified changes.
I'll motion to approve the consent calendar with the modified changes.
I'll second that. We have a roll call, please.
Councilman Schindler,
Aye.
Mayor Horn,
Aye.
Councilman Hedgecock,
Aye.
Councilman Vosberg,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ramirez.
Aye.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the next item, 6.1. We have, actually, item 6, we have 4 items tonight. First one is discussion and direction and potential action regarding unlicensed food businesses, free city-hosted workshop, and city grant opportunities. Marissa.
Thank you. So this item was requested as a future agenda item by Councilman Vosberg, and he actually requested it several meetings ago, but we had meetings together to sort of draft what we could do moving forward. And so we have a lot of unlicensed food businesses operating in the city of Coalinga, where people are making food out of their home and selling on Facebook. And so aside from us being contacted regularly by the Fresno County Health Department because of this, our code enforcement officer is very busy with these items. And there's not really a legal path to help these people with, depending on the type of food they're selling. So Fresno County allows a catering license, a mobile food vendor license, and a cottage kitchen permit. And it limits the types of food you can sell. And so when people are selling sushi from their home kitchen, there's not a way for us to direct them of how to do that legally because there's not a path for them. And so we reached out to Fresno County. If you recall, several meetings ago, you directed me to send a letter to the Fresno County Board of Supervisors asking them to approve micro enterprise kitchens. So the state of California, I think it was January of 2022, allowed micro enterprise kitchens to operate in the state of California, but left it up to the counties to develop regulations and to monitor those. And there's about 3 or 4 counties, the last time I checked, that allow them. Fresno County is not one of them. So we sent letters to them asking them to allow them, and they called me and said, we will not be doing that. And they did have some valid reasons for why they don't want to do it. One of the most important was right now they can show up to any restaurant and do a random inspection, and that's how they find violations. And when people are operating micro enterprise kitchens, they have to give them a 72-hour notice. So they will call them and tell them in 72 hours, I'm coming to inspect your home kitchen, which means they have time to correct any violations that they have. And so there's not really a mechanism to ensure that the public is being protected. And so what we had discussed was hosting a workshop. It would be towards the end of May so that we have time to advertise it. And we would educate the public on what they are allowed to do, because maybe they can't do sushi out of their kitchen, but they could do cookies, or they could do cupcakes, they can do jams or jellies, they could get a mobile food cart. There's a few different options. And so I spoke with Fresno County Department of Public Health. They will have 2 individuals come out to this workshop. And we're also going to invite out the Fresno Area Hispanic Foundation. They just got a very large grant to buy mobile food carts for individuals who want to operate those types of businesses. And so it would be a workshop here in the council chambers. And typically this wouldn't be something that would be on the agenda because we could just do it and we don't need council direction to do that. But what I'm asking is, because when we speak to individuals, a lot of the reasons why they don't move forward is because of the cost with Fresno County. And so our business licenses and our home occupations are free for Coalinga-based businesses for their first year. And so there's not a cost for them to get their city licenses. There is a cost for them to get their county licenses. And so that very first year, if they want to get their cottage kitchen license, the county requires them to pay $406. And so that's really a barrier for individuals. And so what I'm asking with this item is to allow us to provide grants to people who attend the workshop. I did put a max of 12 in here just to be able to give you a budget, so that the max cost would be $4,872. You could always increase that or decrease that. But the goal would be to get people licensed so they can operate a legal business from their home to sell food, even if it's not, the food item they want to sell, but maybe they're willing to sell something else so that they could do it legally.
I got a question. Is this going to be a free grant, or are they going to have to pay it back once business starts?
No, this would be a grant to get them started. So their annual cost to renew with Fresno County is $125 for a cottage kitchen license. So we would give them the $406. They would have to pay it up front and then provide a receipt so that we can reimburse them to ensure that that's where the money's going. But it would be to get them started for their first year, and then in subsequent years, they would have to renew that cottage kitchen license with a fee of $125.
Are we able to do this without opening up a can of worms for other businesses wanting us to pay for theirs too?
Yes. So, I mean, it would be a grant program to get these businesses operational. So we can set whatever parameters we'd like to set because it would be a grant from the city.
What would council like to see?
So we have a tsunami of people selling stuff online, literally, and you know, there's always mixed feelings in the community on how to address this issue. You have some people that say the city shouldn't be going after folks because they're just trying to make a living, and you have other people saying, hey, we're all trying to make a living. What the heck? These people aren't paying their fair share. So the goal is to try and get people legal to be able to do, you know, to make sure that they can get into their business, and then they will be legal. And then we, in our program that we had before, where we were doing the free business licenses, to begin with, I think we gave out like 208 or 209, and then 160 of them came back and paid. So that was a successful program, you know, got those people legal. And not only that, then it added to our general fund for the next year. So I think that's kind of the same goal with this. It's not going to stop everyone from selling stuff online. The county has taken the idea that, hey, basically we're just going to look the other direction and let everyone do what they do, because that's what's happening. They aren't protecting anybody by saying that they're not going to regulate. By not regulating, they just basically wide open. And that's unfortunate, because if they would regulate, then we could at least decipher, you know, the differences. And yeah, so I think this is the best that we've come up with. You know, things could change in the future if Fresno changes. If I know that the mom and pop businesses and a lot of the brick and mortars may not be in favor of this, and for that I apologize. This is one way that we can try and level the playing field, though, because they'll be paying their share of taxes. We'll know who they are. I think it'll make it a little bit better. We're not stopping it, unfortunately. And I know we get lots of complaints from brick and mortars that are saying, like, specifically who was the one that just went out of business not too long ago? The Royal Burrito, who came to us and said they can't survive when people are on Facebook constantly selling lunch items. And they listed that as one of the reasons that they couldn't survive. And so I'm in favor of this. It wasn't the initial plan, but you know, at least we could do some education. And there are some other opportunities here. So like, there is a scenario where people can make stuff if they use a qualified kitchen. So if we get the county out here, maybe we can get people to come in and we can explain it to them how they can do things properly. You know, food carts, how are those properly done? Because we have a couple in town that probably aren't legal to be doing what they're doing, but if they just would, you know, do a little bit of tweaking, they could probably get legal. I heard that one of the cities in Fresno County actually got it allowed to do corn, where the Fresno County was against corn the entire time. We did not turn in the corn guy, by the way. The ice cream guy turned in the corn guy because the ice cream guy had all his permits, and so there was a little bit of competition going on. But there is an ability for this stuff to get done, and you know, I know that not everyone shares the same opinion on this, but I think moving forward, this will be a little cutout to where we can share.
Is this going to be a one-time deal for each participant, or are we going to bring this back like once per year and give an option of future businesses?
That would be up to council. So this item is only asking for this one time. And then if you would like to do it again next year, someone can request that as a future agenda item. I would recommend just doing it once and seeing if it's successful. And then if you would like to do it again, we can.
Does that sound okay? Yeah. See how it goes, and then if it works out pretty good, then bring it back? Okay. Okay, we'll move on to our next item.
Sorry, I need a motion and approval because I'm asking you for money.
I'll make a motion to approve this item.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Horn,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ramirez,
Aye.
Councilman Hedgecock,
Aye.
Councilman Schindler,
Aye.
Councilman Vosberg.
Aye.
Okay, now discussion, number 2, discussion, direction, and potential action regarding adoption of joint resolution number 2023-2024, number 4, and number 4202 between the City of Coalinga, Coalinga Huron Recreation Park District to transfer Coalinga Huron Lighting and Landscape Maintenance District number 1993-1A to the City of Coalinga. Sean.
Thank you. Mayor and council, staff's been working with the Coalinga Huron Recreation Parks District about taking control of the medians in the Worthing Estates and Post de Cheney subdivisions. Not the entire areas, but there's some components of both of those subdivisions where they're under the control of the Parks District. These discussions have taken place both internally and in collaboration with the CHRPD staff. The Parks District's conveyed their interest in relinquishing their responsibilities for these medians, citing challenges in cost-effective ground maintenance with funding that is received through the collection of property assessments in those areas. Currently, the Parks District collects approximately $64,000 per year in assessments in these two areas to maintain the medians. This transfer of obligation is limited to maintaining the two areas identified in the Worthing Estates and Post de Cheney subdivision. I kind of broke down the locations and kind of give you an idea of where these locations are. It's primarily El Rancho, the median on El Rancho, and then a small portion of Post de Cheney Boulevard. You might be able to even see where the division between the city and the Parks District's responsibility begins and ends. And then pretty much all of the landscaped areas along Merced Avenue and within the subdivision that are not basically folks' front yards. So along those roadways, the trees, the brush, the bushes, and basically it's identified as a light and landscaping district, but it's not, it doesn't include the lighting costs. The city currently pays the lighting fees for those. So funds to maintain the areas are based on tax assessments through each respective light and landscaping district. And so as mentioned, the sum of those assessments are about $64,000. The Parks District just doesn't have the adequate staff to manage the grounds themselves, so they've sought contractual services from vendors, and the sum of the basically the water utility costs and the contract expenses exceeds the assessment that they're collecting, which basically puts them in a deficit to try and maintain these facilities. And so in the present condition, due to the presence of leaks and oversized meters, staff feels that significant savings could be achieved almost immediately by the city taking it over. We have grounds crews, and we've kind of put together a financial analysis to identify that it would be cost effective for the city to be able to take on these responsibilities. There'd be a little bit more continuity among some of the areas that are currently landscaped, as well as gives the city an opportunity to kind of institute some of the drought tolerant approaches that we did on Washington and some of the other medians on Juniper Ridge, where it's just less water intensive, because obviously the water costs can be pretty substantial when in certain areas. I know in areas on Lake Merced, a lot of the plant material has been taken out over the years. There have been leaks, and which just really increases the cost of the water. And staff feels that based on the cost and the estimates that we would be able to cover the cost to basically maintain these facilities, as well as have some excess that may even be able to augment some of the groundskeepers' costs that we're incurring, because as we know, groundskeepers are general fund expenses under grounds and maintenance. And so some of this could actually offset the time associated with actually having to maintain these locations. So with that, the Parks District actually adopted the portion of this joint resolution, and this would be the process to be able to transfer that obligation to the city and allow the city the ability to collect the tax assessments in those locations to cover the cost for maintaining and administering those facilities. So with that, staff's recommending and requesting council adopt this joint and execute the joint resolution, and then staff and working with Parks District staff will get that submitted and to the county to ensure that when the engineer's report submitted for the following fiscal year, the taxes will be received by the city to help undertake these activities. And Roger is here from representative from the Parks District if you guys have any questions for him as well.
And Mallory, too, you can put her on the spot.
Oh, hi, Mallory.
Does council have any questions?
I had a question. So what dictates the amount that we get if they're in a deficit for doing it? What can we do to, and I know that just by using our staff and by using the things that we already have, that staff is saying that we can get a savings out of this, but I'm curious, what dictates the amount of money that's being able to collected from these assessments?
It's when so there was an original engineer's estimate created back in, not 93, but it was when the subdivisions were built. So when there's one property owner before it's subdivided, there's conditions placed on the subdivision so that they have to assess these, leverage these assessments. And so that number was identified at that time based on an engineer's estimate to maintain it, and then also just to build the infrastructure initially. And these numbers don't have escalators, so these numbers are based on when they were originally approved. And so the numbers based on basically a breakdown in engineer's report that's prepared at the time the assessments are issued. And there's one voting member usually because you have one property owner at the time. Once it's been subdivided and everyone's purchased homes, then it takes the vote of those folks to further leverage any other tax assessments.
So we have an assessment that has obviously, prices have skyrocketed since this was, and there's no elevator to take this up at all. So what's our plan in the future then? When we're paying our people more than we get to this boat. I mean, obviously they didn't do this willy-nilly. I mean, this is a decent amount of money. So what happens once we're in the position that they're in right now, and our people are making more money, more money than what it would take to do with this? What are we going to do?
It's one of those things where, I mean, if it does get to that point where I think I'd have to look at exactly which number it is, but to get to that additional cost, like where we'd be underwater on it, you're basically just absorbing the cost for those specific medians. Now, right now, all the other medians that we do throughout town are not based on assessments. It just comes basically from the general fund to maintain all the other medians. So Juniper Ridge, all the areas in Sandalwood, none of those collect. These are the only two locations in town that actually collect assessments for the improvements. But our goal is to further reduce the cost beyond what the current obligation is now by doing more drought resistant, taking out a lot of these heavy water intensive bushes, put in more drought and put in very minimal landscaping, similar to what you've seen on Juniper Ridge and in that Sandalwood area. We've seen a huge reduction, as well as looking at meter sizes and the water demand to try and bring down those fixed costs as well. So we're really trying to bring those costs down, and we don't feel that those costs are going to catch up long term because a lot of it's the water costs and the maintenance of a lot of the vegetation that's there.
So what's the savings that we're estimating on this?
Um,
Read it somewhere.
The reduced man hours, I mean, you're probably a cost savings of 12,000.
That's what I'm saying. That's not a big buffer right there. That's a small buffer. 12,000 before we're at even point.
That's just the water costs, excuse me.
Oh, that's just water. Okay,
That's
what's
just
the
the
total?
Operational budget, 36,000, so almost half, a little over half.
Okay.
So it's yeah.
All right.
So about 27,000 would remain
Okay.
to cover costs.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sorry, I didn't have that right away.
Any more questions, council? Okay, what would council like to do with this item?
I'll make a motion that we approve.
I'll second it.
We have roll call, please.
Councilman Vosberg,
Aye.
Councilman Hedgecock,
Aye.
Councilman Schindler,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ramirez,
Aye.
Mayor Horn.
And I vote aye. Okay, we'll move on to our 6.3, fiscal year 2024, 2025, proposed budget discussion and direction. Personal budget proposal. Mai Vang.
Thank you, Mayor, Councilman. This, okay, let me see. Staff is not seeking for any actions on this item tonight. We're just introducing and providing you information in regards to the the fiscal year 2024-2025 proposed personnel and non-operational budget. We are looking at, let's see, before I go into the information, so last meeting, we came in with the expense budget as $35,463,564, and from there was a request by Councilman Vosberg to reallocate the training, travel, and conference budget. So we did make adjustment there. And with that, we also decreased the council chamber stipend, as we've already paid that out this fiscal year. Therefore, the amount of the proposed budget did decrease by $8,400. So that was the change from the last meeting. Going forward with the personnel budget, we are looking at 5 new positions and reclassifying one of the positions, and the details are outlined below that. I will not be reading every detail here, but I would like to share that the personnel budget did increase by $1,535,513 compared to last fiscal year, and that is an 11.1% increase, and that is due to COLAs in addition to the positions. Below that, you do have the table that outlined the increase for personnel costs between each of the different funds that we have personnel within. And from there, we are going to be bringing back to council the revenue in the next meeting. And so that's all I have.
And then I'll just say for the public that's here, because we do have some members that are not regularly at council meetings. So we generally bring the expense portion of the budget to council to review, so they're able to see what our needs are for next fiscal year. And then this portion is the personnel portion for next year's budget. And then at the following meeting will be the addition of the revenue projections. And that's when you're really able to see what the full budget picture would look like. And then from there, we go through and make adjustments until ultimately a budget is adopted, which is generally done at the meeting in June because our fiscal year starts July 1st.
Can you kind of just explain justification for the 5 new positions?
Yes, so these positions are wanted positions that if the revenue doesn't align, then they'll be removed before this budget comes back to council.
6, sorry.
So we're seeking 1 full-time economic development assistant to help with economic development efforts to grow the city. We're seeking to reclassify 1 account clerk to an accounting technician. That's a real minimal cost. I think it impacts the general fund by like $500 for the year, but that allows that person to focus more on the accounting side in the city than just front counter finance related items. We currently have a part-time court staff employee that was added this fiscal year, so it was not part of the budget at the beginning of the year, but it was added later in the year, and the Superior Court reimburses us for the cost of that. They do the remote video proceedings Wednesday mornings here for anyone who has traffic court or anything else that they need assistance with for court services. During this fiscal year, we changed the part-time animal control officer position to full-time. So you'll see that change in there, and the reason it's highlighted as a change is because it's not reflected in this year's budget because it was done during the budget year. We're seeking 2 meter reader positions to free up the maintenance workers who are currently assigned meter reading. and then 1 part-time office assistant position for the fire department, which would be funded by IGT.
Thank you. And when you're talking about assistant, full-time economic development assistant, what does that entail?
It would be all economic development efforts. So we used to have an economic development director. For those who have been in the city for a long time, you probably remember Dennis Watt. He was our economic development director. And when he retired, it changed to an economic development coordinator, and I believe that was Shannon, and then it was Crystal, or that might have been flipped. And then that position, we reclassified someone else into that role, and when the whole situation with Claremont happened and that facility closed, that position's been vacant. And so it was a department head position, then it became a mid-management position, and then it just went away. And so we would like to hire an assistant because it's not something that we have money to hire a mid-management employee or a department head again. But here in the city, everybody wears multiple hats. And so we don't have anybody who is assigned economic development. And so usually it's Sean and I trying to do economic development amongst many other things. And so when council members have gone to ICSC with us, the International Center, I don't remember what the S stands for, of shopping centers, which are the conferences that we attend and how we got Tractor Supply and a few others, they have economic development employees that specialize in attracting businesses, retaining businesses, expanding businesses, and we don't have that right now. And so we are doing that, and I'm not asking for a mid-management or a management employee to do that. We just need help because we need someone to really keep track of everything, have all the contacts that we meet at these events, do all the follow-ups and that sort of thing. So it would be an assistant level position.
So I love the idea. My question is that would this person be able to help with some of the other tasks, as you stated, that everyone wears multiple hats? You know, we have certain tasks of getting information out for businesses and things like that. For instance, the one thing that comes off the top of my head is like, you know, if we're going to do this food of this event where we're going to bring Fresno County in, we're going to need someone to advertise it. Would that fall under the category of what this person could do?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then, of course, you would fill them up with other things when they're not outreaching and doing things like that.
I think
what's your job?
it's going to be a full-time thing.
Okay.
There's enough for them to do focusing on economic development and growing businesses and reaching out and developing those relationships with the businesses, that there's enough to keep them busy for 40 hours a week, if not more.
So if we decide to move forward with this, can you bring us back a job description and what it looks like before we vote on the final approval?
Yes, so we have an existing job description, and I think it's only for an economic development coordinator that council already approved. So we would be reflecting on that, making it not a mid-management position and more entry level, and then bringing it back, because all job descriptions do come to council for approval.
All right, thanks.
Council have any more questions? Okay, I think that's it then. Go ahead and move on to item number 4. Discussion, direction, and potential action regarding the installation of an information kiosk at the front window of City Hall. Larry.
Okay, so I'll make this short. Some meetings, some while ago, I was asked to look into like an informational screen of some sort to be located at the front of City Hall. That space has a few limiting factors to where like it would push you in a certain type of product, specifically bright sunlight. It's potentially warm because it's right at the face of a window. It's an interesting size, not really one that you would normally have a landscape type of a screen. So I shopped around with things that were on the market, and I found a 55-inch screen that is a portrait instead of landscape. It has a very high brightness factor. I believe it's like 4,000 nits, which is extremely high. Has really good contrast. Has a built-in UI to where like you can log into it through like an IP address and access and put new information on there relatively easily. See anything else? I think that's about it. I think it fits our need pretty well. The one thing that's maybe not so easy to solve is mounting it. There is no, or not nothing that I could find that would be a good mounting solution. So I thought maybe it would be best if we reached out to people locally, here, to see if they could design something for us, and something where we could get the screen out like easily and look at it and that kind of thing. So I believe in the staff report it was asked for a not to exceed 500 for the mounting. I don't know if that's a good cost or not, but it seemed fair. The screen itself, after shipping and taxes, it was about $3,800, and it would be about $4,280 overall.
That comes with the programming and everything for it?
Yeah.
As well?
Yep.
All right, the 500, it's probably more than enough, but I'd like to move that amount up to 750 if possible, just to give us a little bit of a buffer, depending on which way that's actually going to work here, because whoever it is going to have to come down here. They're going to have to take measurements and see what they can and can't do before they can even build it.
Yeah.
So, is that possible? To raise it up another 250? That'll most likely cover the materials for the actual item to be able to mount it as well.
And Mayor, for the public that may not have been here for the last meetings, what is the goal of this kiosk?
So what we're trying to do is we have a lot of citizens that walk in front of City Hall right here every single day, either walking dogs or they're just taking care of business down here. And it's another way to advertise everything that's going on around the city, informational meetings, whatever information we can get out to you guys, because not everybody's driving, and they don't see the sign on the north side of town. So this gives them another way for the citizens that are around in this area. They can actually see it, and it'll help us advertise a little bit better. Besides Facebook, because not everybody's on Facebook or certain social medias either. So it was just an option to be able to do it out there and have it up there daily and nightly as well.
Is the intent to have this on the inside of the building?
Yes, yes. The original intent is to have it on the inside of the building. The cost to do an actual kiosk station outside is, I believe, triple or quadruple that cost, maybe a little bit more than that. So we're trying to do the cheapest way possible, but also still usable, and everybody will be able to utilize what's on the screen. And then it just makes everything a lot easier. Outside would be better, but with vandalism and everything else, we're better off to have it inside the building.
Yeah. And also, when I did my first look around about, right at the front, there's also pretty easy access to power. There's an outlet right there that you could hide and, put like right against the wall. So we won't really need to, hire someone to run a power source. So, yeah.
Wasn't this originally talked about where there was going to be two, one Spanish, one English? Now we're talking about just
Is
one?
it going to be a split screen, or is it going to be one screen for English and one screen for Spanish?
We could do both. That power on the other side would be a little bit more difficult. I don't remember specifically if there's enough panel space before the actual front door to run both of them. I would have to look, and I don't know if there's power on the other side. So if we had it on, both sides of the actual door, I don't know. As far as like being able to have it in both English and Spanish, you could do, you could have the same one show twice.
Where it cycles?
where it cycles through, or you could do, you know, like a vertical split or something like that. That could be done. It's really up to you guys. A single screen just makes it a lot less expensive because of primarily the power issues.
Yeah, I'm thinking, most people don't want to stand there and wait for English or Spanish to come up, so both at the same time would be ideal.
Is it possible you can get a cost of everything? The power, most likely you'll be able to tie one into the other and run across with the strips to be able to cover the actual wiring, correct? If the power supply is strong enough to support both of
Well, it
them.
would have to go, if it's on the other, I'd have to,
I know they have Wi-Fi. They actually have adapters that you can shoot over Wi-Fi without actually having a cord for information from one to the other.
right.
So maybe
Okay.
something like that too.
So I can look at the addition of a second screen, but that would require twice as much because of the cost of the screen.
So curious, that was actually my question. So is it possible to take that screen and kind of split it into two and have English at the same time as Spanish running at the same time?
Yeah, yeah,
So
like,
is the intent to get two screens, or is the intent just to get one screen and do them both at the same time?
For me, it's just to get both English and Spanish at the same time, whether it's.
I mean, I think cost-wise, it'd make more sense to do just one screen and have them both at the same time.
sure.
And that would, but I don't know, what does the rest of the council
Certain
think?
designs may limit how well that might work, because then you know, like you go from a 16 by 9, you know, vertical space to have it look nice to like, you know, 2, probably 4 by 3.
Could I make a suggestion? Perhaps we could look at one screen with this maybe split vertical to see how it looks. We'll have an idea of what the cost is gonna be for, you know, the mounting bracket and everything. And then if we find that we wanna add a second screen, we'll know what to do, and then we can just bring it back if that's what we wanna do. Or just, you know, you can give staff a little bit more authorization. This funding source comes from one of our development impact fee funds, that council modernization fund that we did to do a lot of the modernization here and with the microphones and all of that. So we have funding that's available for this,
I
so
believe there's 15,000 or so left.
at least $15,000 available. And there's kind of a ticking clock on spending that money too. So, I mean, if we want to look at both screens, or if we want to look at just one screen, I mean, I think based on the cost, I would recommend probably at least authorizing Morrisville to come back to the council again with further authorization. I was always thinking a little bit more, just $5,000 total, to see if we can do it maybe between the tip cost of the actual monitor, plus if we did have a little bit of electrical work that needed to be done, it gives us some flexibility to get that done when we need it.
See, so it's about roughly $700 more is what you're asking for?
Yeah.
I think we can
That
do
doesn't include the extra,
Right.
we were
right,
talking about
right.
just even for the
Well,
mounting.
that-
I don't like,
That might cover it.
yeah, that'd be
might
extra
cover it as well.
$500 basically. But
So,
at
yeah,
least
if
give
you
us some more
can, check-
flexibility to get the job done.
Check on what the cost for a good enough screen to do a split screen and work at the same time versus two basic ones working side by side.
Okay.
Do we just want to give them authorization to be able to do it? That way they don't have to come back? Or do you want them to come back?
If, to go ahead and purchase, you mean?
Yeah,
Purchase
I
and
mean,
so-
are we
well,
going to
would
give them
have to come up
authorization?
with a limit.
Do you want them to purchase just one and try it out, or do you want to give them authorization to purchase one, and if it's not going to work, to purchase the other one? That way they don't have to come back, since we do have the money in the account, and you said there's a time limit
Yeah.
on it.
The city manager has spending authority.
So
and
what's the rough cost just for the screen?
3,800. For if it's 55 inch, so it's 47 by 28, something like that.
Yeah.
So even with
So-
all those costs, it would, if we ended up going with two screens, it would still be within Marissa's spending authority just to get it done. We can do both if we decide to do both screens.
So you want to try one and then see what the cost difference is, and then possibly if it work out, we're able to do it, get the second one?
I just get it, and then, yeah, if it works out, then buy the other one. You don't want to buy both and it not work out. Just get one, see if it works, and then add the other one.
Yeah.
So then, so the 5,000 should be enough for now, and you want us to leave it open for possible future adjustment on the cost, or just leave it up to Marissa?
I like that idea.
Okay.
I trust
I'm
her.
I'm all for bumping it up the extras to make it 5,000 even, and then if it needs to be adjusted, allow the city manager to adjust.
Yeah.
That's my motion.
Okay.
I'll second it.
We have roll call, please.
Mayor Horn,
Aye.
Councilman Hedgecock,
Aye.
Councilman Schindler,
Aye.
Councilman Vosberg,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ramirez.
Aye.
Okay, we move on to our next items, announcements. First one is city manager's announcements.
Thank you. I only have one. This upcoming Wednesday is Administrative Professionals Day, so if you have staff, don't forget that you need to recognize them that day. For our staff here, our management team does a potluck breakfast, and we bring food in for our staff, and then we send them home at noon, and our management team covers the front of City Hall. So if you want to be entertained and see us scrambling around trying to figure out how they do things, it's very entertaining if you want to come by Wednesday afternoon.
I think Monday's about 9 o'clock, it's about the same too. Councilman, announcements or reports? Okay, I have one. I already talked about this the last meeting. May 4th, Mid-Valley Disposal is doing their free dump day from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. So be sure to take your utility bill with you as well. They're not accepting trailers, just trucks if possible. But they're doing a free dump day for everybody, 6 o'clock in the morning, a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday, May 4th. Okay, are there any future agenda items?
I got one. I wanted to see if we could make an ordinance or some kind of thing for the businesses that have the backyard cleaning. I want to see if if we could do something where if they do clean the backyard or something of disposing something, that they come in and show proof that they're going to the dump or where they're dumping it. Because I'm getting tired of going to the creek and having families enjoying the creek when it's beautiful in water and you find a refrigerator and a mattress and everything. So if we have to do that, then we're going to do it. So I want to see if we could do that.
So are you referring to businesses operating in the city that advertise like dump services?
Yes.
Okay, I have one real quick. This is kind of for the next gen internet that's coming into town. I've noticed a lot of the places that they've done some digging already, there's been sidewalk damage and curb damage. Can we find out if they're actually going to repair or if it's just a patch?
Short answer,
All I'm
yes.
seeing is asphalt.
Yes, they will be. No, they're doing temporary patches, so they can actually, when they go to do, they'll put new sidewalk in, but they're gonna have to get a larger economy of scale. And they're gonna come back in and do all of them. Not the whole city, but they're gonna generate enough, they're gonna patch them.
Then there is any way we can put that information out? Because I'm having a lot of citizens asking me about it because some of their yards, their sidewalks, their curbs, everything's getting damaged. So at least get the information out there. All I've been telling them is, as far as I know, they're going to repair.
Yes,
They're just
they
doing
are
temporary
responsible.
so they can get their lines in.
Yep, it's just a temporary fix, so they can get a larger set of panels to be replaced, and then they'll replace all those in groupings.
I was assured by them that everything would be back to where it would, if they were doing it at one of the manager's mother's house, she would be happy with the work when it got done, is the way he explained it to me. So when it's complete, that's the way he said it would end up.
Also, I'd like to put in one more item this is for the chief of police. Is there any way we can start doing a random once, maybe twice a year with the CHP for a DUI checkpoint around the city? Because we haven't done those in quite a few years. Is there something? Thank you.
I have an item. This is usually Manny's We have on Pacific and Forest, where we used to have 3 no parking signs. When they did the new Pacific Apartments, they took 2 of them out. And amazingly enough, now the world thinks it's a parking lot, and it's not. And so I was wondering if we can get those 2 signs, no parking signs, replaced and put them in a place to where that they're readily available, so that I don't keep getting complaints of why do we have people parking there.
Parking or racing?
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother issue, but I won't bring that up tonight.
Okay, any more items, council? Okay, we're gonna move on to our closed session. We have one item tonight. With that being said, meeting is adjourned.